Yesterday I looked for you and wow.
I came to the door and it was locked, and I kind of took that as a sign that
No such
you guys were
thing.
done.
No, you could have rung the bell. No problem.
I was glad she showed up.
Hmm?
I thought we lost her. I was swallowed up by the earthquake. Oh, yes.
Thanks for that, Grace.
Very complete namaskar. Second one. Ah, it's perfect. Everything is just fine. Feels like I never left. That's all?
Yes.
Perfect. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Fourth chapter, first verse. Quite an involved verse. And I told you fourth chapter, somehow I'm still on 2. Let me go further. Yes, here we are. Ya eko varno bahudha shakti yogat.
Ya eko varno bahudha shakti yoga.
Something was funny. We'll chant it one more time. Ya eko varno bahudha shakti yogat.
Ya eko varno bahudha shakti yoga.
Varnananekan nihitartho dadhati.
Varnananekan nihitartho dadhati.
Vijayti jante vishvamadau cha devaha.
Vijayti jante vishvamadau cha devaha.
Sano buddhya shubhaya samyunaktu.
Sano buddhya shubhaya samyunaktu.
Yeah, very important opening verse, and it has something to say, and it starts with a fourth chapter starts with a big bang. Yeah, so we are in the middle of seeing this, and there has been a little gap, which means what? Yeah, start from the beginning, as though it never happened. So the key word here is avarnaha. That is what carries throughout. This is what I want you to remember. This is what the Upanishad wants you to remember, because that's how it starts. Avarnaha. Avarnaha means what?
Covering?
No, that's avarna. That's why the and a makes such a big difference. Avarna and avarana. What is avarna? Formless. Avarna. No form. No description. Nothing to catch hold of. Nothing to say this one looks like this, because this is Atma, Avarna. Essentially it is formless. No, but essentially elsewhere it is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That is form. What is the form of Satyam? No, it has definition. Abadhitam Sat. What is Abadhitam? Non-negatable. Is that a form? No, if it's non-negatable, it must be there. So it must, if it is there, it must have a form. That is your conclusion. If you are tempted to conclude like this, It has nothing to do with the Shastra. No, but Jnanam is there. Yes, does it have a form? Well, there is the knower. Is Atma the knower? No, because it's also the known. So is Atma the known? No, it's both knower and known. How can it be both knower and known? Is it crazy or what? How can something be both object and subject? It's not possible. So therefore, if something is shining both as the object and as the subject, there is only one explanation. What is it? It's not one. We can't say one and the same. We'll say it. We'll say it a little more, in tune with the Shastra. That means it's neither subject nor object. It is. Yeah. Because if we say it is both, then it cannot be anything else. Then it is stuck with being subject object, and then there's a big problem because I'm looking at this and it is looking at me, and I can't eat my dinner because it is looking at me. That's also the subject. I'm also the subject. I'm the object for it. I'm the object. It is a subject for me. It's just it's a mess. So therefore we say that in its essential nature is neither object nor subject. But what does it do? It morphs as the object. And when there is the witness who is with the conscious witness, when it also morphs as the conscious witness who is witnessing the objects, and in relation to the objects, this consciousness is called subject. Understood? Yeah, this is very important. So, but it is Anantam. Does Anantam have a, form? Anantam means what? Endless. No limits. If it had a form, it would have limits. Correct? So, this is what it wants us to understand. The Upanishad wants us to understand at the beginning of chapter 4, because chapter 4 is all about Sarvatmakatvam of Bhagavan, of Ishvara. So it's soon going to say, even as fast as verse number 2, what is it going to say? You are Aditya, you are Surya, you are the sun, you are the shine of the sun, you are the 5 elements, you are all the planets. And how can you be all that and then again be nothing? It's not that Avarna is nothing and there is no contradiction. And what is the truth here? Essentially formless lends itself, its presence, Sat, and its sentience, Jnanam, to all names and forms. All things that have name and form, borrow the existence from this essentially formless yet conscious being, which is I, which is the definition of I. How many are there? Only one. But so many people in the room. No, it's all one. All one. Ekaha avarnaha. Ekaha. So can there be half? No. Non-dually one. Advitiyaha. Ekameva advitiyaha. In the Chandogya Upanishad, elsewhere. And then this alone, this consciousness cannot create. Why? Because it is free of everything. If it is free of form, that means it doesn't have hands, correct? Yeah, so it cannot make this Jagat Chapati. Where all the beings are flattened, with the rolling pin of consciousness. And then not only flattened, as though that is not bad enough, put on a hot, cast iron griddle. Ayo, trahimam, pahimam, that's why everyone is screaming. Yeah. So how can, the formless doesn't have arms and legs, correct? It doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have a mind, it simply is. So then everybody asks, how did this Jagat came into being? And then you want me to say that this formless consciousness, this Avarna, this Ekaha has made all this Bahudha. Bahudha means multiple forms. How is that even possible? It cannot be possible. How is it possible? How is it possible? Here it says, because of a special power, it has gone and made a pact with that power. What is that power? Maya. Yama, sa Maya. What is Ma? What's Ma? Don't say mummy, okay? I don't want you to go there. What is the meaning of Ma? Ma is deep sleep. What is Ma? Anyone online? Ma here, oh, sound and video are breaking up. Why should they break up? Go to live stream. Yeah, now that's my standard.
I told them to go to a dirty.
Oh.
This one's working properly.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay,
This
so
one's working properly.
so we will pray. We will pray that this, I don't know what else to do here. Is any other application on or anything else?
Live stream's working properly now.
Okay, live stream apparently is working properly. Go there. If it's not working properly, come back here. Okay, no worries. You're welcome everywhere. Yeah, catch a plane, come here and sit. No problem. You're welcome. Ya Ma, sa Maya. What is Ma? Ma. Pramana. There is Ma there. Ah. Ma plus pra. Prama. What is Ma? Bah, finally. Knowledge. Ma is knowledge. Ya means she who. She who is knowledge is called Maya. Yama, sa Maya. Only for Ishvara. For you, it's the opposite effect. That we will discuss later. Only for Bhagavan, she's all knowledge. In fact, she makes this, uninteresting, just simply sentient, simply endless, simply existent blob of all knowledge, into some force that can create. She endows this Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, this Ekaha Avarna with the power to create. What kind of power? Limitless power. Bahudha here means Vividha. Vividham bhavati iti Vividha. Shakti yogat. So this as though power, here we can use the word as though many times. This as though power, because it cannot be a real power. You know what happens if it's a real power? Then it becomes bigger than Atman. And it's not. So this power also comes and goes. It is there as a potential. It comes and goes. It's not a real power. It's an as though power. Why is it an as though power? Because everything we say has come out of Brahman. This as though power has also come out of Brahman. No, you can't fob me off with these explanations. I want a proper explanation. What do you mean as though power? Just like your as though projection in the dream. In the dream you have an as though world of objects and subjects which have forms, which don't have form. For example, in dream there is space, dream space, correct? That has no form, space has no form. In dream there is dream time. In dream you are feeling, I'm not having time. What kind of time? Dream time. See, that also has no form, but it exists. So you have created things. You have created all kinds of things. With the Shakti, what is the Shakti here? For you also have a power to morph into the dream. What is your power? Memory, knowledge. Knowledge means the relative knowledge, and desire. That's what comes out in the dream. You can never dream something that you do not know. No, that's not correct. I'm sure that that's not right. Well, that's not right, because yesterday I had a dream of a man with a monkey's tail. See? No such person exists. Men don't have tails. They only, human beings don't have tails, they only have tailbones. So you see, I have dreamt something that doesn't exist. Well, not quite. You know monkey, correct? Monkey was in the knowledge bank. Man was in knowledge bank. What else was in the knowledge bank? People who behave like monkeys. So he just put 2 and 2 together, and with that imagination, endless imagination, projected this humanoid in your dream. You can't call it human because tail is there, So this is the tail, T-A-L-E, of Bahudha Shakti Yogat. In you also have the same Shakti in your dream, and you just cast this world out of your own desires. What else? Memory and your knowledge base. You just cast it, and even if supposing you dream something you don't know, you have encountered it in a past life. That is also possible. People dream all kinds of things. And so like this, that same dream analogy is taken a step further to appreciate and understand, better assimilate this whole way in which this Jagat, this universe has come. It cannot come out of nothing. Even if the Bible says that, we have to say nothing else. We have to add a little else there. Else we are in hot water. Yeah. We have to put an else. God created this world out of nothing. Else other than, that knowledge, that existence alone is spread itself out, not thinly, completely, because it is limitless. It's not like jam, Jam, you can say, okay, I am spreading it thin. But here there is nothing called spread thin. And so Brahman first, as it were, this is all as though. Just like, there is a certain mystery how the dreaming takes place. Yes, I know there is knowledge, memory, etc. All that is there. Desires, fears are all being projected. My own raga dveshas are coming out in the dream. But how? What is the first moment when the dream emerges? It's all magic. Same thing here. What is the first moment when the Jagat emerges? It's all magic, because it's all linked on the sublime, subtle level of thought. So there is the thought, and the thought, between the thought and the manifestation, there is no space. Because space is also part of the thought. There is no time. Time is also part of this thought. So the thought itself brings everything, right there. But Brahman, when did Brahman start thinking? Does Brahman have a mind? No. Oh, so you mean it's a mindless thought? Yes. It's a mindless but infallible thought, well thought out. And all knowledge, equipped with all knowledge of each one's karma, each one's everything, the whole Jagat is cast. The whole Jagat is cast forth, put forth, very beautiful. And the whole Jagat is sustained, and the whole Jagat is recalled, not because it's faulty like some of the cars. Yeah. It's recalled because there is no more use for that cycle anymore. Very beautiful. So, there is one song which says, Parabrahmajayam, Ameyam. Ameya means the one who cannot be measured. This Maya is a is limitless in her own way, because she has come out of that which is limitless. And she is called Parabrahma Jaya. Jaya means wife. Yeah. The consort, as it were. This is a bhakta's, a devotee's imagination. Parabrahma Jaya. Jaya means a consort of Brahman who becomes his helper, so to speak, and she paints this whole Jagat, breathes life into it, does all kinds of things, and including, keep people from their own understanding, keep people believing in the body, mind, sense complex as the ultimate reality, And so, this is the Bahudha Shakti Yoga. So, there is a yoga here. What is yoga? A joining. It's almost like Brahman went and shook hands with Maya and said, all right, from today you and I are a team. And she said, all right, but I have certain conditions, because this is not some patriarchal thing. I have my own conditions. And Brahman says, okay, what is it? Well, you don't come in the forefront at all. It should all be me, women's lib. He says, okay. So it's all Maya, everyone should say. Yeah. He says, everyone will say it's all Maya, it's all Maya. Day and night they'll be chanting your name. And then one more condition she puts. What's the other condition? That, the spoof of the Jagat should not be easily known. That this whole universe is just, it's an eyesore. But this whole universe being an eyesore is just it's just because I have some kind of dust in my eyes. And I'm unaware that it's a spoof. This is part of what is it called? The deal between Brahman and Maya, so to speak. I should get all the credit for creation. No problem, Mother Goddess. Without you, how can anything happen? No problem, Brahman says. I'm in the background. No problem. So I'll only join with you if I get all the credit. And then people should not call the bluff, because otherwise I will feel bad. I will have nowhere to go. And third condition, for you, I'm all knowledge, all power. But for those jivas that are about to come, I will manifest as all ignorance. Brahman says, okay, ye bhi theek hai. All right. And so this is Bahudha. So this is yoga. Yoga means a deal. A union. This is what it is. Yoga here is union with this Shakti, which is nothing other than Brahman. It's not an alternative power. It's not a parallel power. It's not a different power. It's the same. How, why, when it came, don't ask. Because, that's part of the hidden agreement between them to which we are not privy. So, this power which is non-separate from Brahman but an as-though power, because the power cannot be real. If the power is real, there is no moksha possible. Avarana becomes real. Vikshepa becomes real. And there is no moksha possible. Avarana means what? Abba, okay, covering. So, if the covering becomes real, then it cannot be uncovered, right? So the covering is not real, therefore the whole power itself is as though power. And as though power as though emanating from Brahman who does nothing. It's like Brahman has created a kind of a proxy and is standing behind her, You do everything, you take the blame also. And he also puts one condition. If they come to me to be freed from you. I will not stop them. I will grant them that. I will grant them that grace. And she says, all right, who will come? She says, I'll make sure that the covering is thicker than the skull that covers the buddhi. So nobody will come. Few stranded people, who have nothing to do. Nothing to do on a Tuesday evening. And, waylaid people. Nothing has worked. Somehow they have just sort of, wafted into the classroom, and rest of the people are enjoying themselves in malls and in balls and in doing all kinds of things and gossiping and seeing plays and seeing movies, and this is what life is all about, eating all kinds of things. This is what it is. Anything that moves, people will eat, and anything that creeps, crawls, flies, whatever it is. This is what the thing is made of. So Maya says, no problem. Okay, if they come to you for release them, no problem. But they have to be definite. And also she says, I retain the power to distract them once in a while. If I see them going to 2-3 classes, if they start making me nervous, if they become very keen on Vedanta, I'll throw a little smoke screen. After all, my name is Maya, I have to have fun. I'll throw a little wrench. There was that Greek story. There was one girl, she had to, I don't remember the whole thing. There was one girl who had to run one marathon as part of certain tasks to get close to God or something like that, very metaphorical. And then so part of this she had to complete 12 tasks, and then running this marathon was one of them. And while she's running the marathon, the forces that don't want her to complete it, they are throwing golden apples. And so the first one is so shiny and wonderful, she just goes off the track and looks at it. And then she says, well, it is kind of heavy because it's made of solid gold. But it will be useful. Think of how rich I'll be. Just one apple, how nice. I can run with it, So she puts it somewhere in her dress and runs again. She ties it and, puts it in the dress. And very soon one more apple studded with gems, not only gold but studded with gems, is rolling past her and then rolls away. And again she has to take time from the marathon and collect it. And so, then finally after she is weighed down with these apples of various golden apples, then, she's slowed down. She cannot keep her time anymore. And then she realizes, okay, I can either have these apples and go home right now, or I can run. And as soon as she decides to run, the apples disappear. See how metaphoric, how wonderful. Yeah, Atlanta, that was her name. Atlanta and the golden apples, that was her name. Some Greek Roman story. So like this, the two margas, Preyas and Shreyas, the one the one which leads directly towards discovering oneself as a non-wanting, non-desiring, satisfied, contented person, and the other one leading to what? Leading to things that are desirable in the relative sense. Not, there's a difference between that which is relatively desirable and absolutely desirable. In fact, all there is one desire, which is the absolute desire to be free of all desires. That's the only desire. But not recognizing that, I have to make a difference between the relative and the absolute, and then it's very easy to get stuck in the relative. With the help of this deal, Shakti Yoga, this yoga, this so-called union between Brahman and Maya, she says, okay, you can release them, but not before I have troubled them a little bit. I'm going to just, make them, But what will you do? Brahman asks, what are you going to do? Well, they are driving to class, I'll just put a little pin in the tire. then what will happen? You see, then they can't drive. Then they have to go and get it fixed and all. But why would you do that? Because you see, she says, you don't know anything, Brahman, you are so innocent. You see, what are you going to get if they miss one class? That's what you don't know. When they miss one class, the chances are that they'll miss a whole lot of them in a row. This is what happens. You don't know the human mind. Because they have guilt, because they have fear, and then they have hopelessness and despair. My prasada, all of them. But it's all me only. But because of these, you know what they will say? They're thinking you don't understand. They will say one was already gone. What's the point in going to the next one? I have already missed. And then they have grandiose plans. Okay, I'll catch up on, what is that one called? Live stream. And then, I will go after I have caught up, Famous last words. Last words means in terms of attending, in terms of the quest. Yeah. So she knows very well, if the thread of the pursuit is so fine and thin that if that little link is missed, that's what is called the original missing link. Okay? So if that link is missed, then the chances are that pursuit will be waylaid, just like the golden apples. I mean, she could have decided either way, And so, like that, she's going to trouble little bit. But ultimately, I don't think I'm just weaving this story for no reason. I'm coming, there is a very important reason that the last line is very, very telling. That's why I'm dwelling a lot of time here. Dwelling on this. So this is the yoga, this is the connection that makes this non-acting, simply being consciousness into an as-though actor because of the as-though power which is Bahudha. Bahudha is the opposite of Ekadha. Ekadha means single power, single track power. Dha means a kind, one kind of power, but no, one kind of power is not enough to this universe. So many powers, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, power to create dinosaurs, power to create winged dinosaurs, and power to create all these strange beings. So strange they look. All of them, especially these sea creatures, amazing. That jellyfish. Why would somebody have a karma of becoming a jellyfish? Transparency issues in the last life. That's all you can say. Was very private, would not, open the door also. Nobody should know what I'm doing. Nobody should, what is this? When NSA is there, what do you mean very private? Everybody knows what you're doing. Yeah, all you need is all you need is Wi-Fi. Enough. And the whole world knows not only what you're doing, but where all you went and what you bought and everything they know. That's all it is. Everybody has all these gadgets now and you're just beaming everything all the time, What privacy? Still the person was so, closed off to himself, herself and the world that next life, Bhagavan has a sense of humor along with Maya. Jelly, yes, fish. And that's why it's called jellyfish, because jelly is also transparent. Yeah, but jelly is not jiva. Fish is jiva. So this Shakti, Bahudha Shakti Yoga with manifold power to create all kinds of things. Eko Avarnaha, this formless being, this formless, limitless consciousness, as though has now gained the status creator. And then what? anekan. Anekan, what's the second line? Varnan anekan. So varna, now here varna means forms. So many forms. Anekan, many forms. Nihitartho vidadhati. Vidadhati manifests out of itself. Nihitartho means without purpose. Inscrutable, no reason. You know, the reason for creation it's not even a question. I'll tell you, this is a very important point. Make a note of it, please. Because whenever you say, what is the reason for something? That means it should have a beginning, correct? Yeah. When there is a beginning, then you ask the reason. I'm going out. Why? You know? And if supposing someone says, I'm going out, you say what? Why? Why are you going out? That means what? There was a change. Up till now the person was in, so now the person has begun the act of going out. So the act of going out has a beginning, correct? Before was a potato on the couch, now going out. Correct? Now has become okra, 2 legs, and going out. And then you say, why? Why can't you just sit in one place? Why do you have to go out? Then the person will say, I want to go to the shop. I want to buy some vegetables. I want to go buy some milk. I want to go to post office. I want to go somewhere and pay some bill. Correct? These are all the reasons to go out. So there's a reason because the action is being initiated. I'm going into the kitchen. Why? Because I'm hungry. There's a reason. I'm going to create this whole universe with all these ginormous, kinds of beings and all kinds of things. This colossal universe I'm going to create. Why? You can't ask. Because it's not, the creation is a cycle. Is it a unicycle or a bicycle or a tricycle? It's a mega cycle. Cycle means what? It's like a circle, When you draw a circle, however imperfect, that means what? The beginning and the end should join together, right? Yeah. Otherwise it's not a circle. Circle means there should be the beginning and the end should join together so that you don't know where it began and where it ended. So then you can't ask the question, why? You can't say, why me? That's different. That has what has brought one to the quest. But you can't say, if it's a cycle, you cannot say, why did it start? Because it never started. Why did Bhagavan create? Why did this cycle of creation came? Arey, I told you it's a cycle. So therefore, the Upanishad doesn't want you to go there. So the Upanishad says what? Nihitartho vidadhati. Projects without any reason. No, but I want the reason, otherwise I'll be so upset that I can't focus on what you're going to say next. All right. So this is an eyewash reason, like when the baby is crying, you just give it a candy to make it stop crying, correct? And so the reason that is given is the karmas of all the jivas, jellyfish, included. The karmas of the clamoring karmas of the unformed jivas. But how can something unformed have clamoring karma? That's a head scratching moment. So that means what? They are there in a kind of a latent form, let us say. A latent form. not quite manifest, but they are there in a latent way. They have resolved into Bhagavan, and then the time has come to be irresolute. Come out of this resolution. And at the same time, let us say, Bhagavan has having that special thought, the thought of the universe, along with the thought of the jivas. I'm sick of this soup, this hot soup of consciousness. I want my own body, I want my own mind, I want to individuate. All this is Panchadashi, I want to, and Aitareya Upanishad, these are the things that are discussed. I want to individuate. And then what do you want to do? I want to accomplish many things in my confusion. No, but you can only be born in confusion. Never mind. Give me confusion, but give me my own body. No, but you will be ignorant of yourself. Doesn't matter. What has Ishvara done for me anyway? I want so many things. I have in fact left a lot of things in the bucket list from the last life. Before the bucket came, before I was overwhelmed by the bucket, there was a huge list which I did not get a chance to fulfill. But you know what? If you are created into an individual now, you will not even remember that list. Doesn't matter, I still want my own body. So the force of the jivic desires, the jiva's desires, knock, create this, give a migraine to Ishvara. Because they just knock his head around and just say, we want out, let me out. Let me out now, let me out, let me out. And Ishvara says, all right, all right, all right. Here is the Jagat, it's your playground. Go play. And then the jiva plays. Nobody else is following the rules of the game. They're all taking the ball and going home. Then the jiva is lonely. And then the jiva says, let me in, oh Lord. Let me in, I want in, I don't want out, I want in. Rama, what a drama this Jagat is, This is what it is. So, nihitartho dadhati. So, Upanishad doesn't want to get into all this. Upanishad says, don't even ask the meaning, don't ask why, because that's a big problem. That's like a can of, what is in the can? Worms, yes. So, there's a big can of the worms. Don't ask what is all this about. Because only the things that have a beginning, that have a reason. The creation is not a beginning. Even your life's first day, the baby's birth is not really a beginning. And this is something the romantic poets knew that. When you read, the songs of innocence and by this Blake, William Blake. And he says, we come from afar. We have had long histories. He says that. Not in entire forgetfulness do we come from God who is our home. He says we remember some things, but then that gets erased. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Very nice, beautiful. Songs of innocence and experience. They knew, they had a certain sense of this. And so you don't ask the reason why. It's just nihitartho vidadhati. The whole projection is there. Time is there, space is there. There is a playground. An alienated and sad playground, but nonetheless, a slightly creepy playground, but nonetheless a playground. This is called, what is it called? Kshetra. And Bhagavan in relation to this Kshetra is called Kshetrajna. Very nice. And so, don't ask the reason for the creation, because there is none. Why is there none? Because there is no creation. All there is Bhagavan. Okay? Yeah, there is no creation. So stop, believing in this. This is, we are just seeing the cosmology and understanding it, properly, so that we don't get into this whole, we don't keep reinscribing the duality. And then at the end of this particular cycle, what happens? Vieti. Vieti means Visheshena eti. Vishvam, Vishwam Visheshena eti. Vishwam, vidadhati, dadhati and eti. Adau dadhati, ante cha eti. This is how the what is that? Anvaya will come. Adau vidadhati, ante cha eti. Vieti. So, Adav means in the beginning. In the beginning, you just told me there is no beginning. Please stop confusing me, okay? You just told me there is no beginning, but now the text says in the beginning. In the beginning of what? This particular cycle of creation. Everything is a big cycle. I told you that it's not a bicycle, it's not a tricycle, it's a mega cycle. That mega cycle is called Kalpa. Inside there are smaller cycles, Manvantara, all these things are there. So one of those cycles, it is that force which projects and retracts repeatedly, without any purpose. It looks to us that it's projecting and retracting, but what is really happening? Nothing. Just like a dream. So Vishwam means this universe, along with the waking individual is also called Vishwa. So along with this, along with all the jivas, this whole thing is projected and retracted. Who is the one who is doing this? First it was called Avarnaha, who has now become Devaha. This effulgent being, shining, self-shining being, who is the abode of all knowledge, omniscient, omnipresent, who is Bhagavan. So you see, very interestingly, you see the quote-unquote, you witness the birth of this Jagat along with the birth of the maker called Bhagavan. Both are being, projected, so to speak, and both are mithya. Bhagavan is not mithya. The status of being Bhagavan is mithya. Yeah, that's what it is. Status of being jiva is also mithya. That is where the redemption lies from samsara. And then, so this is the whole cycle. Itself formless, associated as it were with all power, all knowledge, all action, manifests this universe entirely without purpose, because the purpose is there only because when there is a beginning. Manifests it and retracts it repeatedly based on, again, we have to say the karmas of the various jivas. And who is this? Devaha. This Bhagavan who is all knowledge. Deva, shining with all knowledge. And I can say Atma is also Deva. I am Deva. That is what has to be discovered here. That's why the word Deva is used, because Atma is also self-shining, Bhagavan is also self-shining. So Atma is Bhagavan. This is Mahavakya right here. Mahavakya is that which shows the identity between Jiva and Bhagavan, Jiva and Ishvara. Right here is Mahavakya. The word Deva has come finished. It becomes a Mahavakya. And then it concludes with a prayer very appropriate for the beginning of the 4th chapter. Sahadevaha naha asmakam shubhaya buddhya samyunaktu. Again the word yoga, correct? Yuj. Yuj means to associate with, to unite with. Naha. So no. No doesn't mean no here. Yeah, no here means yes. Please, may this Bhagavan, Naha. Naha means us, asmakam. May no Naha, 6th case. So, may this Bhagavan, us, unite us, Sanyunaktu. May this Bhagavan unite us with what? Shubhaya Buddhya, with good buddhi. What is buddhi? The faculty of faculty of intelligence, proper thinking. Yeah, may I have proper thinking. This is really the ultimate prayer. This is the only prayer. Don't ask for money. Don't ask for, all the enemies to be destroyed. Don't ask for a promotion. Ask for to be, have proper thinking. That's what it is. The word Shubha means auspicious, but it also, in the colloquial Indian parlance, it means a something well done. Like it's a word of completion. Like if you go to see a movie, not anymore, I suppose. I don't know. I have not gone in a long time. But when we used to go see movies, it would have Shubham at the end, right? Yeah, Shubham. Shubham means, what is the reason to say auspicious? There is no reason to say auspicious at the end. That which is auspicious is that which has not been, what is that? Allowed to die before it is completed. That which is auspicious is that which has come to a proper and a rightful completion, a rightful conclusion. That is called Shubha. So auspicious, we can easily translate. But what does auspicious mean? Auspicious means there have not been any roadblocks. Auspicious means that attempt has not been aborted. Auspicious means I have been able to fulfill it exactly how I visualized. I have been able to do that without any obstacles, or even surmounting the obstacles, never mind. So Shubha means that which is totally free of all kinds of obstacles, and that Shubha means that which has been completed. And what is the purpose of the buddhi? What does the buddhi need to complete?
The discrimination.
That is viveka. What is the buddhi's job? Why do we have buddhi? For moksha, right? Not for moksha, for moksha. Yeah. But when I drink the mocha, then certain neurons fire and then I can think of moksha. Okay, then in that case have the mocha and then think of moksha. So for moksha, for redemption from this experience of constantly wanting things and trying to fulfill this uphill battle of fulfilling the wants. Like this Prometheus, why all these Greek fellows are coming, I don't know. But this Prometheus was asked as some, to roll this big stone up the mountain. All night the fellow would climb, huff, 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 puff, and reach the mountain, and in the morning what would happen? The stone would roll down. Again at night he would do that. This is what the jiva's life is. Trying to fulfill a desire is just like the Promethean task. You get what you want and then you don't like it. That's why we have garages. It ends up in the garage. Because everything in the garage, except the car, which is not in the garage, everything in the garage were prized possessions, which are now sitting there because I don't like it anymore. This is what the whole thing is. So this is an uphill battle. It's a Promethean task. So therefore there is some disconnect in this buddhi if it is not geared towards Shubham, which is moksha. Because moksha is the only Shubha Ichcha. In fact, it's the only, why is it called Shubha Ichcha? Because it's the only desire that can be fulfilled completely and totally. Think about it. All the other desires you are kept left wanting. How was the holiday? Well, the place was wonderful, but the hotel was horrid. How was the visit to your relative's house? Well, they live in a nice place, but we didn't really get along. So that's what the problem was. Another answer. So how was the holiday? Well, after the traffic coming home, I feel like I need another holiday. How was the holiday? Well, it was too expensive. Now I'm broke. So now I have to do something about it. So anything that you fulfill, any desire you try to fulfill, leaves you wanting. You're left with a bag of few more desires. Either it makes you want the more of the same, or it makes you want something different, or it makes you want to immediately get rid of what you worked so hard to acquire. It's just crazy. So this is all ashubha ichha, a desire that is so inauspicious because it cannot be fulfilled by our earlier definition. It cannot be fulfilled at all. So there's only one desire that can be truly qualified to gain the epithet of Shubha, which is freedom from knowing myself or identifying myself as a wanting person. That's the only thing that is Shubha. So may my buddhi be united with Shubha. What a prayer. Oh Lord, hey Deva, this is how to say. That's why I spent such a long time on the imaginary conversation between Brahman and his consort. Who is his consort? Maya. And so this was part of the deal, correct? And what does Bhagavan say? If people come to me, then they are free of you. That is the prayer here. That is a prayer. And even in Maya, when you see Bhagavan, Maya has no more a hold. That is the idea. That you don't take Maya at face value. You see what she really is. And so here, Shubhaya Buddhya Samyunaktu. And there, what was there? There was that yoga. Bahudha Shakti Yogat. This whole Jagat came. Let me out. And then what? Shubhaya Buddhya Samyunaktu. Let me in. Let me be you. Let me understand that it's you and me are one and the same. Where are you hiding? Why are you playing hide and seek with me? Very nice prayer. Shubhaya Buddhya Samyunaktu. Yunaktu, very nice. It is from Yuj. Yogi Yunjita Satatam. Where? Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. When you don't know, say Bhagavad Gita. I think 6th chapter. But anyhow, so, may the yogi connect oneself to Bhagavan through prayer, etc. All that is given there. So here, may the person who is praying here, and he says what she says, the individual here says, in fact it's a group prayer. So may our minds, be in tandem with your mind. Second meaning. Be in tandem with you. Yunaktu, that union. Oh, but Bhagavan is mindless. Bhagavan doesn't have a mind. But here, what is the idea? The idea is the oneness. Ekaha, avarnaha, which is a description of me, which is the truth of me. That one effulgent being, itself formless, is responsible, as it were, for creating all these forms, including this body, mind, sense complex, which is my pitfall, which I associate with constantly. And I forget, I come under the spell of Maya, thanks to this wrong identification and thanks to this basic ignorance. I come under the spell of Maya repeatedly, life after life, and fall into the pasha. Pasha is not a Russian word here, Sanskrit word. Pasha means what? Rope. Yeah. Fall into this rope of Maya, Yama. See, Yama, Maya. Fall into the rope of Yama, which is also Maya. And this is a big mess, and come back again. And so this let me in, let me out psychology has to go. Yeah, first let me out and then let me in. Like a cat, A cat apparently cannot stand a closed door. Yeah, if it has a certain rules to live by, this is one of them. Don't, allow any door anywhere to be closed, including the main door. So what should you do? You just sit there and meow till they get a headache and they open the door. And then rule number 2 of cat life, once the door is open, you don't have to go out. Even in the winter. And you can stand there, 2 legs out, 2 legs in, and the tail twitching. This is the jiva. This is mimicking the jiva, same thing. Let me out. No, let me in. I don't know if I want out or in, but it's kind of nice. Yes, I know I'm ignorant, but some nice food I can get to eat. I know I'm ignorant, but I love movies. I know I'm ignorant, but I want to go shopping. So what? No, but that's not right. I know that, I know better. Why am I doing this? It's time for class now. I should not go shopping. At least not now, not on a Tuesday. And so this way, this let me in, let me out business, let it come to a stop. Let my buddhi be fine-tuned to desire that which is the truth of myself. And then another meaning, because this is what Bhagavan also wants, because it's called Shubha Ichha, because this desire is blessed by Bhagavan, correct? And so I need your kripa, because this lady here is creating problems. Which lady? Mother Maya, Mother Avidya. She's creating problems. See, she's always wanting me to go to restaurants. And so therefore, I need I need a little break here. And so what is the break here? The break is, may I have Shubha. I'm going to take a few more minutes because it's too much fun to leave it right here. And besides, I don't think we are meeting next week. So we better finish it now. So, yeah, in exchange for a whole hour next Tuesday, I'm going to take a few more minutes now. So, so then how am I going to understand this? How am I going to even understand what to desire? Because I don't know what to desire, correct? Always the movies, the malls and the balls look nicer than this Vedanta, so boring, Atma, 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 that's all you talk about? Somebody asked me, you always talk about Atma? I said, always. What is the subject matter? Atma. What did you teach yesterday? Atma. What are you going to teach tomorrow? Atma. How boring. Whereas you have this, Nana, Bahuda, Vidhadati, all this whole world projected, all the colors, the forms, the sounds, the stimulation. Aha, what is all this? Why? How am I even knowing? How am I even going to know what to desire? And here is where the Shastra walks into the picture. And the Shastra, it doesn't walk by itself, correct? How does the Shastra come? Through the teacher. The teacher carries the Shastra. And so here, the Shubha Ichha is to desire a teacher, because without which the knowledge cannot come, even if you stand upside down. We recommend Shirshasana because standing upside down, what does it do? It gives blood to the head, and we like that because it allows one to think clearly. So I have to seek here. How to know what to seek? So Shubha Ichha includes seeking the teacher first and foremost to redeem myself from this notion of bondage called samsara. How did I fall into samsara? Because I said, let me in, and samsara said, okay. Now you are in. In fact, you are samsarin, because you are in samsara. But from samsarin, I have to become Vedantin, correct? So, how do I do that? Shubhaya buddhya samyunaktu. May that correct buddhi to find a teacher. This DIY, do it yourself and all is not going to work. And doing this, catching the nose, catching the toes, they will help me in having the calm mind, but it's not going to supplant the need for the knowledge. It's not going to replace the need for the knowledge. So I need the teacher. All right, teacher is there, but still I continue to pray. Shubhaya buddhya samyunaktu. Why should I pray Shubhaya buddhya samyunaktu? Teacher is there. So why should I do that? Because how do you know? The point is to not just have a teacher and dust them and put them in the showcase, display case. The point is to know what the teacher knows, then only my redemption, correct? So I have to know what the teacher knows. How is that going to happen? That means I have to understand what is being said. So how is that going to happen? If my mind is in tune with the mind of the teacher, then I understand everything. This is the whole idea. This is the ultimate prayer. Mama chittam, tava chittam, mama chittam, anuchittam bhavatu. Interestingly, the same prayer is used in marriage when two individuals come together. Let us be of the same mind, and the same prayer for being, one with the teacher from the standpoint of knowledge. That's the whole thing. It's just amazing. Otherwise, the knowledge cannot be transmitted because there are no receptors in the receiver. The transmitter may be working fine, but the receiver is blocked, pun intended. And so if the receiver is blocked, then the Shubha Ichha, even if it is there, becomes Ashubha immediately, negates itself. And so therefore, the transmitter and the receiver are on the same wavelength. Then only the broadcast, podcast, whatever cast, can happen. That's the whole idea. That may my mind and the teacher's mind be one. Means what? May the teacher also start to want to go to restaurants, like me. No. May I know what the teacher knows, and when the teacher is speaking, let my mind be calm enough. Let all the ragadveshas sit down in rows, because you cannot uproot them suddenly. So you make them sit down, you suspend them for the time being. May they all sit down in rows and then not create a row when I am studying this. Shubhaya buddhya devaha naha samyunaktu. So the only way to be united with Bhagavan is to be united on the level of the thinking with the teacher. I have to be in sync with the teacher. Otherwise, I'll be in sync, S-I-N-K, in samsara. Yes, I have to be in sync, S-Y-N-C, now that everybody knows, because with all the gadgets, everything is always syncing. Yeah. So this is how to be in sync through this prayer. This prayer gives the grace of Bhagavan, without which, and this brings us to Bodhasara, which said, only with the Guru's grace you get Bhagavan, correct? And only with Bhagavan's grace do you get the Guru. Somewhere it said that. And this is what it is here. So I need the Guru, but then I need Bhagavan's grace to get this properly. So it's like a cycle. I need the Bhagavan's grace to get the Guru in order to know Bhagavan. So the Guru becomes an intermediary because the knowledge is in the form of a thought. Except all the other thoughts, I wish I could go somewhere else, I wish I could see this, I wish I could have this, or you are the agent of those thoughts. This thought is planted by the Guru in the form of a vritti, vritti jnanam, vrityakara jnanam. So this thought is planted. Oh, I knew it. I was being indoctrinated and brainwashed. I knew it. So now you are talking of planting thoughts. Well, it's not indoctrination. What is the thought that is planted? Let us see that. The thought that is planted is you are the whole. But it takes root. Why? Because you happen to be the whole. You want to be the whole. You want to be what you already are and you don't know it because of this let me in, let me out saga. Endless. That's a good one. I have to remember that. So, let me in, let me out saga makes me stuck and I don't know. So that thought which is already you, which is already there in other words, at the original frequency of aham, 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 I am, that thought is already there. It's already there. That I am self-effulgent, I am, I am, and this unchanging being is there. And I know I am is also there. So the thought, what you are, is not there. That has been displaced by all other thoughts of limitations, so-called limitations, so-called identification with wrong things. And so this thought displaces those penchant for identifying with the limitations. So you identify with when all the limited notions are displaced, all that is left to identify is the limitless. So the thought is like a flower coming from the mouth of the teacher. And what is it facing? It's facing a huge wall behind which Bhagavan sits. That's what it is. So that flower has so much power that it goes, as soon as it comes out of the mouth of the teacher, it has the power to break asunder that tall wall that one has built, which is hiding darshan of Bhagavan. So the wall comes down. You don't even need Margaret Thatcher to say, bring down the, what did she tell? What did she tell him? Mr. Reagan, bring down the wall. Yeah, you don't even need all that. Here the flower in the form of the knowledge. I say flower because it is fragrant, it cannot be kept a secret, it is beautiful, it is desirable, and it seems, small and not of, and finite, because the vritti is finite. That's why I say flower. So like the flower, it goes from the Guru's mouth and as it were breaks down this wall of resistance, the wall of false notions, the wall of fears and tears and all kinds of useless desires. And you see Bhagavan. The wall is what is keeping the Bhagavan away from you. That is the flower power, vritti power. That is the vritti. So I have to be in tune with this vritti. I have to be able to receive this vritti. When that wall is breaking down, I shouldn't start, mixing the cement and start reinforcing the wall. Shubhaya buddhya samyunakto. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, so any questions are there? Okay. Getting vyapti, yeah. So vritti vyapti. Vritti vyapti and phala vyapti is the are the technical terms for this twofold process of when something becomes evident. Like even this flower. So when I say flower, already the flower thought is in the mind, correct? So when I show you this flower, the thought as though comes out as it were and envelops the flower and takes the information back, and then this flower gets matched up with that flower over there, and that is called phala vyapti. And for everything that is an object, then I have to know it like that. I need those twofold things. Vritti vyapti means the first operation is of the thought enveloping the flower, and the second operation taking back that information and lighting that up as an object. Phala vyapti. But in case of all objects, we have these twofold operations of the mind, and in the case of knowing Brahman, only one is needed, which is what? Vritti vyapti. That vritti coming from the mouth of the teacher, which is in the form of the words of the Shastra, just goes and envelops the mind, but it is not an object. It's already what you are. So you don't know yourself as an object like the flower. So there is no phala vyapti, there is nothing to corroborate because it immediately hits home and you know you are. That's what is there. So in self-knowledge, only vritti vyapti. In all other knowledges, phala vyapti also is there. Nice question. Okay.